Go ahead.
Across the country right now, as we know, a lot of companies are trying to make decisions on their return to work dates. What, if any, decisions has the president made about when the federal workforce needs to be back in the office? Where does that stand for federal employees?
Well, we've already brought all of the White House employees and on the executive complex back to work. And obviously agencies are implementing on their own timelines to do exactly that as well. As you know, we announced just a couple of weeks ago steps we were putting in place, attestations that would be required of federal employees. If they're not vaccinated, they're going to have to be in a testing regime. It's going to take a little bit of time to have that implemented, even as agencies are hard at work getting it done.
So there had been some dates floated as like early September by which some of these employees would be coming back. Is the expectation that employees will be coming back in the next several weeks, or has this complicated the situation given the surge of the variant?
It has not complicated. We've put in place specific guidelines and specific requirements from the federal government. We also trust that each agency is going to have their own implementation plan for how they can have in place a testing regime in order to keep their workforce safe.
We'll follow up on this when we talk to the COVID-19 response team in the next opportunity, but what is the assessment that the White House has received in terms of the projection for when this Delta variant would reach its peak? When should we anticipate that that would happen? What, if any, preparations are being made in anticipation of that time?
Well, I certainly do encourage you to ask our scientists, as I know you will. Part of it is dependent on the actions and steps that the American people take across the country to get vaccinated, to wear masks, to protect themselves, to reduce the spread of the virus. We have seen in states where there was a rise in COVID cases even a week or two ago, obviously an increase in vaccination rates, and also a start to see a leveling off in some of those states. That's a positive sign. I'd also remind everyone, as you all know, that if somebody gets their shot tomorrow, they're not protected the next day. They need to get their second shot, and then it's a couple weeks after that. So it is going to take a little bit of time, even as we've seen an increase in vaccination rates in a number of states across the country.
But you receive assessments, obviously, from them. What is the assessment? When should Americans on this trajectory, or even if there is a best-case scenario trajectory, when should we anticipate this surge to peak?
Well, again, I encourage you to ask our scientists and our experts who are tracking exactly that, an important question. But it is also dependent on the steps that we are taking and people across the country are taking to get vaccinated and protect themselves.
In the near term, are there conversations about the potential for field hospitals, much the same way that you produce mass vaccination sites in some places? Some of those states right now don't have sufficient resources to care for the number of hospitalized individuals. Are those conversations taking place?
We are in touch with every governor, and we have offered assistance, federal assistance, strike forces. Every state needs something different. And states that have higher rates of COVID obviously need even more assistance. And we are prepared to provide any kind of assistance that's going to help stem the rise of the virus.